Hi, it's Coral coming to you from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Welcome to our latest GSNIM virtual badge program. Today, I am going to be presenting to the Daisies the Board Game Design Challenge Mechanical Engineering Badge. And so today, I'm going to just be walking you through the 3 steps, and then I encourage you all to go out and do this on your own so that then you can earn the badge. So the 3 steps. Number 1 is come up with an idea for a board game. Number 2 is make your own spinner. And number 3 is test your game and make it better. So like I said, this is a mechanical engineering badge. So we want to think about what is an engineer and what do they do? So they like to know how things work. They like to think of a problem and then think of a solution for it. And during this whole process, they're going to fail fast so they can succeed sooner. Have you ever thought about when you do math? Do you always get the problem right? I know I don't. It's kind of like that. You have to learn from your mistakes. So I want to show you the design process today, so that we can reflect on this when we're doing our board game. And so we can just be just like engineers. So the first thing in the design process is to identify a problem. So our problem today is that Coral's bored and she needs to come up with a new game because she's gone through all of her games at home and she needs something new. And then Coral's going to brainstorm, what can I do for my game? What would be really fun? And then she's going to come up with a design. So maybe it's a blueprint. A blueprint is an example of what your game is actually going to look like. And then she's going to build it. Then after she builds it, she will test and evaluate it and see what worked, what didn't work. Then she might have to redesign it, and then test and evaluate again. And then she's going to share the solution. So share the game with somebody else. So that's the design process. I want us to reflect on this throughout our journey today with this badge. All right, friends, so now we're going to talk about some facts about games. But first, I want to know from each of you, what is your favorite board game? Maybe it's a card game, but tell me, what's your favorite game? What do you like to play with your family or with your friends? What could they be? I am going to show you some of my favorite games. So let's get started. So my first one is Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit. Love this game. And one of the interesting facts is it has 1,800 questions inside of here. That's a lot. My second game I want to share with you is called Blockus 3D. And this game is just an interesting board. I'll just show you because I think it's really fun and really interesting. Much different than what other games would have. So this game, this is the board. And what it does is it actually turns. So it's kind of like a turntable. And then you have puzzles like this. And then you put your 3D pieces on here. And you have to block other people as you go. So Blockus is one of my favorites. It comes in many different versions. I think there's 4. A really fun game for children and adults. And then my last game I want to share with you today is Clue. A little bit different Clue though. It's Harry Potter Clue. I just really like this game. I may be a fan of Harry Potter, who knows? But it has a moving board as well in Hogwarts, so that's kind of fun. So I just want to show you three of my top favorite games. I like other games too. Some other games that I really enjoy. Growing up, I loved the Game of Life. I also like Candyland. I like Skip-Bo. I just really like spending time with my family by playing board games or card games as well. So I want to tell you a little bit of history about board games. So the Game of Life is pretty interesting. It was invented by Milton Bradley, who originally called the game the checkered Game of Life. So if you look it up online, it has a checkers board, and then it has pictures of different parts of life, and then you have to play until you win. My other fun fact for you is about Candyland. Raise your hand if you like Candyland. I just thought it was really neat that the inventor was Eleanor Abbott. She was a retired school teacher. She was in the hospital fighting polio, and she saw the sick children and wanted to give them something to take their mind off of being in the hospital. So she created this game to bring them joy. So that was just really interesting. Some fun facts about just two games that most people know. All right, so now we're going to talk about the first step, which is to come up with your idea. So I created a board game, and it took a while trying to get to the exact thing that I was going to do. So like I said, I came up with my problem, I brainstormed it, I designed it, then I started to build it, and then I had to reevaluate it and try to figure out what was really going to work. So let me just show you my board game. So it's called Coral's Camp Adventure. I don't know about you guys, but I am wanting to go to camp right now. I'm just looking forward. So, I should have showed you. So inside my box, you will see the board, and then you'll also see the spinner. These things are just made from household things that I had. Excuse me. So the first thing is I just made the board out of construction paper, cut up little pieces of paper, put on some little designs. So what you can see here is it just looks like a board game. Maybe it looks like Candyland or some other board game. But then it's really hard to read. But there are little squares that say trivia. And so my game includes trivia about Camp Logan. So during my game, you might go to the archery range, you might go sailing, but then the ultimate thing is you want to get to the campfire. And then I have my little spinner here, and you can see that it has numbers, but then it also has question marks that say trivia on them. And then I have an arrow, and I used a brass spinner. So that is my game. You have to go along the way trying to get to the ultimate campfire. You may have to answer some trivia questions along the way to make it more exciting. Okay, friends, so now we're ready for step number 2, and that is to design a spinner. So as you saw mine, it's just a circle with an arrow, and then there's a brass fastener. So let me just take it apart so you can kind of see what I did. So I started off with a large piece of construction paper, kind of like this, and then I took a roll of tape and laid it down on my paper, and then I traced a circle around it, and then I decided to cut it out. And then from there, I just had a circle, and you can see I tried to do it on this side, but then I failed and I had to do it again. So then what I did is I did this, and I took just another piece of paper and laid it down across, so halfway, and then made a line, and then did it again, another halfway. And then for this side, I did the same thing. So I just did half, and then another half, and then another half. And I have my triangles or my pieces of pizza. And then from there, I wrote my numbers on there, and then wrote the trivia as well, because I thought my question marks kind of looked like 2s with special dots under them. And then for my arrow, all I did was actually, I just drew an arrow. So an arrow like that, and then I colored it, so I just made the lines thicker. And then I cut it out. So you might need to ask a parent for help, or just make it however your heart desires. It's your game. So then I had a brass fastener. So this just has a little circle head on it, and then it has 2 little prongs. It's probably really hard to see. Oh, that might be. There you go. So it looks like that, and then when you put it in, then you just make it go up to hold it in place. So one thing that I found, though, is that when I put it in, and if I fastened it too hard, it's like too tight, then it was really hard to spin. So what I mean by put it in is I folded, you'll want to ask a parent for help, but I folded this over just a hair, and then I snipped it with scissors. So then I have a little fun circle. Not really a circle, it's more like a blob. And then I did the same thing here. I kind of folded this down and then snipped it. So then you'll want to line these up. And then put in. But I have a easier way, I think, for all of you, which I discovered this way after I had already made this, and I was like, man, this would have been easier if I would have just waited. But that's okay. Problem solved. Remember, going back to the design process, we're testing and evaluating, and we're redesigning, rebuilding. So what I did was I have my circle here for my board. Then I take a paper clip, and you just lay it down on there. Then you take a pen and make sure that it's not, the point is not out. And then you lay it down on here. And it's really hard to show you because I'm the only person here, so it's, so bear with me. So you kind of hold it in place, just like on a board, and then you spin it. Whoopsies. So it's easier if you have a flat surface. So I'm on my table and then I spin it, and then it tells me what number, or if I landed on trivia. So that's the spinner. I wish you all luck with making your spinner. All right, girls, so now we're ready for step number 3, which is to test our board game and then make it better. All right, so I have my board game here, and then I have my spinner, but I've actually gotten rid of the purple arrow because I find that the paperclip method is actually a whole lot easier. So I'm just using my table here to spin everything. Sorry, it's really hard to see. So just bear with me. So I'm going to start on start, and I'm going to take my spinner, and I'm going to spin. And I landed on 2. So I'm going to move up to 2. I landed on 1. So when I go up to 1, I'm right here on the green piece. And on the green piece, it says trivia. So I get to answer my first trivia question. So for all of you, maybe you can answer for me. But can you name 3 camp activities? Put them in the comments, just so I know. What are your guesses? All right, so one of my favorites is tie-dye. Another activity would be horseback riding. Another one would be archery. Maybe you would say swimming or boating or sailing or hiking. Lots of fun things that you can do at Camp Logan. All right, so since I got that question correctly, I get to advance. So I'm going from here across to here. And then I'm going to use my spinner again. I'm going to spin. And I got it's on a numbers. Trivia. So I get to answer trivia again. If I get it correctly, I get to move 5 spots. Whew. So it's a big one. Let's see here. Does anybody know what the unit is called that was used originally for primitive camping? It's an area, and you have to walk across a bridge to get there. It's close to the archery range. The horses sometimes walk back there during their trail ride. It's called Tall Timbers. So since I got that right, I'm going to move 5 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness. I am so far up here, up in this area. So that's just how you would play my game. So now you need to think about how can you make your game better, or is there a way to make it better? Maybe your game is just perfect and you're good to go. But if I were to make my game a little bit different, I would want to come up with pieces for my game instead of just random pieces of paper like my arrow. So that's something that I would do to make my game better. And I'd probably research more stuff about Camp Logan because I don't know all the answers to these trivia questions, but they are a lot of fun. So just like our design process, we have identified our problem. We've already brainstormed. We have designed it. We have built it. We tested and evaluated it. Then we had to redesign it, test and evaluate again. And now I'm ready to share my product with somebody else so that they can also have fun. So this ends our mechanical engineering badge of the board game design challenge. I really look forward to seeing what you girls come up with. So hopefully your parents can post a picture of you with your board game that you have come up with. But to close our time, thank you again so much for joining me today and watching this wonderful video. I hope you enjoyed everything that you saw and that you'll come back again to join us for another video from GSNIM. Just as a little reminder, if you have completed the badge on your own, then once we open up our stores again, you can purchase your stores in-house. But thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you are on the lookout for additional programs from GSNIM. Thanks and have a good day, girls. Bye-bye.